Do you think it's healthy for journalism and reporting to be completely objective?
You have to be. Because what happens on one day can change from hour to hour, day to day, week to week. So if you start to put in all your own feelings and thoughts, you may be found to be wrong, incorrect, misguided. And so just give the people the facts. They can make their own decisions. And there's enough problem with misinformation in the world anyway, so we don't need to pile on and put in our 2 cents worth. The facts as they become available to us, that's all we should be reporting on. It can be difficult. Obviously, you do see some journalists get emotional, or depending on what the story is, whether it's Israel Hamas or Black Lives Matter, eventually there's going to be a story that's going to touch you. But you have to just try and stay as focused as you possibly can and objective as you possibly can.
I kind of want to dig deeper into the Israel-Hamas thing, because there is such like a thing as question neutrality, and the idea that we have two sides of any news story ever, and you want to hear both sides, but sometimes we create a fake balance with that, and this can negatively impact the public opinion and the information the public is getting, like in the Israel-Hamas war. So everybody has their own truth. How do we report on both sides then?
In a situation, especially with war, we're very fortunate in the business these days where a lot of information can become available right away. We're watching a war take place in real time. But another problem with video is that how can we be sure what we're seeing or what is being posted is actually current video? Often in news, there's a rush to be first. And what's the point in being first if you're incorrect?
Yeah.
The viewers will not forgive you. And that's why a lot of people don't trust journalists, because often the information they get is incorrect. And then how do you go back and say, okay, that was wrong, but believe me now?
Yeah.
And when so many journalists are doing that, it becomes a problem. And some people aren't journalists, but they say they are, and they are reporting on a situation, and then people take that as fact. And then we see what happens.
How do we represent these unrepresented voices? Because there's like this stigma that in newsrooms it's always like male, white, straight men. How do we give this platform to everyone as a journalist?
I think first and foremost, if you have a variety of people in your newsroom, that is going to help. If you just have white, straight males, they're going to have an opinion. And so therefore, that can shade or color the coverage of news. But once you have other people, whether races, sexes, in the newsroom, then those people will have an opinion in terms of how a story is covered. If you don't ask and involve more people, then you're going to be very one-sided, very myopic. So it's important that you have people that reflect the community, the world at large, so that therefore, hopefully, and not to say that you can have those conversations, and sometimes those conversations can be heated, and you can have them in the newsroom, and then a decision is made.
Where do you think in 5 to 10 years the media will be on this issue of objectivity and transparency with the people? Do you think we will have regained the trust of the people, or will you think it will be worse than as of today?
I think it's going to be worse. I think people who want to who don't want to believe will not believe. And there will be more opportunities for them to be swayed. So we just have to keep fighting the good fight and telling the truth, as some would say, as we see, but telling the truth. And so that people hopefully will still tune in and believe. There's always something, we don't know what the story's going to be when we get up in the morning, but there's always something to report.
So, concluding, journalists and newsrooms need to be completely objective for you?
I think so. Yeah, they have to be. Otherwise, we're sunk. We're sunk. Because, as I said, it's like we can, sometimes a person can have an opinion on a Monday at 9, and by 12 o'clock it can be completely changed. So you have to be objective. If you, stick in the mud and you believe and believe and believe, you'll get caved in by that mud. So be open. Be willing to, and if you believe in something, then have that discussion, have that debate with your coworkers, and maybe you might change some people's minds, and maybe you won't, and maybe your mind will change, or you'll agree to disagree. But when it comes to providing that information to the public, you got to stick to the facts.